welcome to the What's Up News Network, being broadcast from Panama City Beach, Florida, the home of the world's most beautiful beaches, and 323 miles from Booker Hollow, Georgia, which is the center of the universe, where people there are so good they have to hold on to the blackberry bushes to keep from being drawn into heaven. I am Jim Free with Jim Free Realty. Please click on the subscribe button just below the picture. In the real estate market, we have 162 condo units available, 110 of which are Gulf front units. In the detached single family, we have 118 units available, and of those, 6 are Gulf front units. And in the attached single family, we have 26 units available, and only 4 of those are Gulf front units. Out of some 11,000 Gulf front units, we only have 110 units on the market, or about 1%. Sellers have enjoyed a seller's market for the past year, and buyers that use financing to make their purchases have enjoyed low interest rates. All of that is about to change. The Federal Reserve voted March the 16th to raise the interest a quarter of a point, which is the first increase since 2018. A quarter of a point doesn't seem like a lot, but they have signaled that they plan to raise the rate 6 more times this year. This will drive a lot of buyers that need financing to make their purchase out of the market. We will discuss this in greater detail later on in the program. In the local news, Tuesday evening around 7 p.m., a Cessna 182 was cleared for landing at the Northwest Florida Beaches International Airport. There was dense fog in the area. The plane dropped off a radar approximately 2 miles north of the airport. Wednesday morning, the investigators using drones to locate the plane in dense undergrowth. The victims were identified as Diane Slattery, the president and CEO of a Michigan healthcare system that has over 8,000 employees, and her husband, Donald Slattery, who was the owner of the plane and was CEO of an international aircraft leasing company. From WMBB TV news that plans to build an indoor sports complex in Panama City Beach are moving to the next level. The Tourist and Development Council met Friday morning to approve an agreement with sports facility companies to help manage the project. Bay County Tourist Development Council Executive Director Dan Rowe said a partnership with SFC will help speed up the process. These are the guys that are managing the public sports complex. These are the guys that will help run this complex. Rose said this will be a $40 million project funded using various grants from FEMA, HUD, and possibly some Trump Gulf Coast grants and TDC dollars. Now to the lighter side. I've told this story before, but would like to tell it again. I am so proud of my kinfolks when they are successful. Annie, my second cousin, twice removed, was in the fertilizer egg business. She had several hundred young pullets and 10 roosters to fertilize the eggs. She kept records, and any rooster not performing went into the soup pot and was replaced. This took a lot of time, so she bought some tiny bells and attached them to the roosters. Each bell had a different tone, so she could tell which rooster was performing from a distance. Now she could sit on her porch, fill out an efficiency report by just listening to the bells. Annie's favorite rooster, old Butch, was a magnificent specimen. But this morning she noticed old Butch's bell had not rung at all. When she investigated, she saw the roosters were busy chasing pullets. Bells were ringing, but the pullets, hearing the roosters coming, would run for cover. She checked old Butch, and she found, to her amazement, that he had his bell in his beak so it wouldn't ring. He'd sneak up on the pullet, do his job, and walk to the next one. Annie was so proud of old Butch, she entered him in the poultry division of the Coosa Valley Fair, and he became an overnight sensation among the judges. The result was the judges not only awarded him, old Butch, the Nobel Peace Prize, but they also awarded him the Pulitzer Surprise Award. The Biden administration has mandated the use of a face mask for all citizens 65 and older that suffer from heart conditions. They are required to pull the mask over their eyes while they are filling their gas tank. My Cajun producer, Billy Mac Richard, keeps telling me not to be distracted by the news of the war, inflation, and oil prices because they are just distractions and something else is going on. And he was right. I thought our political leaders were trying to figure out how they could help Ukraine. I was wrong. The U.S. House was working on something more pressing. They have now passed the CROWN Act. CROWN, C-R-O-W-N, is an acronym for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair. And I didn't even know we had a problem with natural hair. President Biden has urged lawmakers to swiftly pass the CROWN Act. If this becomes law, discriminating would be treated as if it were race or national origin discrimination. It looks like Congress will need to increase the funds to the FBI, Homeland Security, and the Attorney General because all their manpower is being used to investigate those terrorist parents that are talking too loud at school board meetings. I wonder, did they put anything in CROWN Act to protect those of us that are bald and don't have hair? My feelings were hurt when a friend was kidding me about being bald. I first thought he was giving me a compliment when he said men who are bald in front are thinkers. I just smiled. He then said those that are bald in the back of their head are lovers. Again, I smiled. Then he said, people like you that are bald front and back just think they're lovers. My feelings were hurt. I felt like curling up in a fetal position and becoming a snowflake. I just told him, we only have so much testosterone, and if you want to waste yours growing hair, that's your business. I guess I should thank Nancy Pelosi for being so concerned about my feelings and about the feelings of those folks that like to braid their hair or tie it in knots. I guess our feelings are more important than the women and children that are being slaughtered in Ukraine, the families that don't have enough to eat because of inflation in our country, or the fathers that can't afford to buy gas to get to work. Thank goodness our representatives know what's really important: protecting our hair and our feelings. In the national news, more seriously, we could be headed for a recession unlike any other that we've experienced. The reckless spending by our government and their assassination of the energy industry in our country has our economy running over a cliff. The Fed has printed $4.5 trillion over the past 2 years, and now our national debt is over $30 trillion. When I carry my great-grandson to Walmart, he will pick up toys and I will tell him it's too expensive, and he will say, does it cost $1,000, Pop? He doesn't have any idea how much $1,000 is. I don't have any idea much myself about how much a trillion is. I do know that it can be expressed in zeros, and it'd be 1, 3 zeros, 3 zeros, 3 zeros, and 3 zeros, which is something I've never seen before. If it were possible to stack $1 trillion in $100 bills, the stack would be 631 miles high. It's easy to see why we're headed for a storm. We just don't know how bad the storm is going to be. The Federal Reserve just raised the interest rate 1/4 point of interest. Chairman Jerome Powell says he expects to raise it 6 more times this year. The Federal Reserve will have to thread a needle, and if it makes a misstep, we will go from a recession to a depression, which could push the middle class into the lower class and the lower class into poverty. One of the first bubbles the Fed has to deflate is the real estate bubble. They will also have to deflate the bond bubble and the equities bubble. A misstep in either area could end up in a disaster and with the market and the economy. The contributing factor to our situation is the pandemic and also the war in Ukraine, but most of it is self-inflicted. Energy production is our only solution. As long as John Kerry, Bernie Sanders, the squad are directing our president and vice president, I don't see an answer in sight. Here's something kind of strange. Conversion therapy is banned in Canada. On January 7th, a new law, Bill C-4, went into effect. The law forbids any form of advice or admonishing the challenges such behaviors of tendencies such as cancel is now illegal when offered by professionals, religious officials, or layperson. In other words, it is now a serious criminal offense, which you could get 5 years for, in Canada to portray homosexuality and transsexualism as sins. This means, of course, that Christians are not permitted to declare what the Scriptures clearly teaches. The U.S. has not gone unscathed by LGBTQ lobby. 20 states and Washington, D.C. have passed conversion therapy bans on licensed counselors overseeing minors. Tennessee is the only state to pass a Counseling Protection Act. Just don't believe these delusions that you're seeing in the world. Here's my version of things going on. First, he came for Chechnya, and we did nothing. In 2008, he came for Georgia, and we did nothing. In 2014, he came for Crimea, and we sent blankets. In 2022, he came for the Ukraine, and we did very little. Next, he will come for us, because we did nothing to stop him. Now, I didn't just make that up on my own. King Solomon tells us in Ecclesiastes, and he was one of the wisest and richest men ever. He was worth, if you equate what he owned to today's dollars, he would be worth about $2 million. Those of us who are old enough to remember World War II, we can see the similarities in what's taking place today and what took place under the Nazi system that was in place in World War II. And this is where I got my little poem. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the unionists, and I was not a member of the union trade union, and I did not speak out. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. That came from Frederick Gustav Emil Martin Niemöller, who was a German theologian and Lutheran pastor. He is best known for his opposition to the Nazi regime during the late 1930s and he was widely quoted for this 1946 poem, First They Came. Martin spent 7 years in Nazi concentration camps. There was another famous Lutheran pastor, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, was another pastor in that area that opposed Hitler. And he famously said, "If I sat next to a madman as he drives a car into a group of innocent bystanders, I can't, as a Christian, simply wait for the catastrophe, then confront the wounded and bury the dead. I must try to wrestle the steering wheel out of his hands of this lunatic driver." I don't know if our president is doing enough to wrestle the steering wheel out of the hands of Putin, who is killing innocent women and children in Ukraine. Could this all be a distraction to create a new world order with a new currency? Well, it's possible. We have a book of the month, and it's written by Miranda Devine, and the name of the book is Laptop from Hell: Hunter Biden, Big Tech, and the Dirty Secrets the President Tried to Hide. And incidentally, this story is told by Hunter Biden on his laptop that he turned in to be repaired. So most of it's in his words. Before we close out, we have a public service announcement from our president, and we'd like to play that. It'll take about 25 seconds.
Let me be clear. If you're in a state where hurricanes often strike, like Florida or the Gulf Coast or into Texas, a vital part of preparing for hurricane season is to get vaccinated now.
I'm so damn confused.
Until we meet again, may God bless you, your family, and this great nation that we live in.